Welcome to another edition of Around Our Area here on News Channel Nebraska. I'm here in Neligh at the Neligh Mill Historical Site, and with me is
Don Opie.
And your position here?
I am the site supervisor of the Neligh Mills.
Very cool. And I guess just to start off, for someone who's not familiar with the Neligh Mills, what is the history behind the Neligh Mills?
Well, basically, the mill was started by the founder of the city of Neligh, who was John Neligh, back in the year of 1873. And what makes it so special is the mill is the only 19th century flour mill in Nebraska that actually contains all the original milling equipment from the 1800s.
And how many floors are to the mill, and what kind of makes up the complex itself?
Well, there are actually 3 floors of the mill plus the basement. And it started out as a grist mill and then changed over to a roller mill in 1886. And all the equipment inside basically has to do with the milling process of changing wheat to flour.
Very cool. And now what's on the first floor?
On the first floor is where you find all the rollers that were used for grinding up the wheat into flour. Those were the heaviest piece of equipment, so they're always on the first floor.
And the second floor?
On the second floor, you'll find various things such as machines called purifiers that remove the wheat germ, wheat bran from your flour. You'll find reel sifters, which would actually grade the flour. And you find different bins such as flour bins and the wheat holding bins.
And then moving on, continue, what's on the third floor?
Well, actually on the third floor, which was added on in 1891 due to additional equipment being purchased, you'll find dust collecting equipment, flour sifters, a wheat scouring machine which cleans the wheat of the dirt and grass seed prior to being ground up into flour.
And I saw some more equipment down here kind of by the river. What is going on with over there?
Okay, the mill was actually operated by water power up until the year of 1920. In 1920, the dam washed out, so then they went to electric power. What you were actually looking at would be the water power setup, which consisted of a head gate, flume, and penstock. In the bottom of your penstock is a large horizontal steel turbine that the water goes through, which operates a large pulley on the top, which has a 12-inch leather belt going to the basement of the mill to transfer the power.
Is that still operating, or do you have to do any maintenance on that, or is it just for looks now?
No, actually, it's just for looks. It was actually rebuilt in 1975 to look like it would have in the 1920 period.
Very cool. And then what kind of day-to-day operations do you have to do around here just to keep it looking as good as it still does?
Right now, I'm the only permanent employee that we have here at the mill, so my job duties vary greatly from giving tours to office work to maintenance work to cleaning, a little bit of everything.
How long does it take you to clean this whole mill out, especially with all that equipment in there?
Well, it'll vary, but on the average, a person can usually clean 1 floor a day.
1 floor. Well, it's a big mill and it's very cool. What are some of the cooler, different types of machines we're going to be taking a look at?
Well, there's actually a few different things. One is a flour bleaching machine, and that would actually bleach the flour, which started in 1900, basically because people were changing from growing spring wheat to winter wheat was the big reason for that. Spring wheat produces a white flour, whereas winter wheat produces a yellowish-looking flour. And so people wanted the white flour, so that's when bleaching the flour started.
And that's just to make everything more consumable, more sellable to the public.
Yes, that's basically it, just giving the consumer what they want, There's nothing wrong with the yellow-looking flour, but it just wasn't the right color for the people.
Now, it's very cool. This is a very cool place. What would you say to people to urge them to come check it out for themselves outside of just seeing this episode?
Well, actually, if you want to learn about the history of flour milling and see a little bit of history that's unique to Nebraska, this is the place to go see it.
And I want to thank you for joining us here. We're in Neligh, Nebraska for another edition of Around Our Area here on News Channel Nebraska.